Hello, hello, and welcome to my YouTube channel Accessibility Talk. This is Tushar Govil. In today's video, I will talk about WCAG 1.4.3 contrast minimum success criteria, which falls under WCAG 2.1 AA. And as we already know, WCAG stands for Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. First, we will understand why the contrast matters. Sufficient contrast is critical for the users which with moderately low vision who do not use contrast enhancing assistive technology. So it addresses three situations. First is visual acuity, which addresses needs for approximately 20/40 vision. Aging, it compensates for loss of contrast sensitivity typical with aging. And situational, like it benefits everyone in low light environment or with poor screen quality, or for example if you are looking at a tablet in a bright sunlight where you cannot see the content clearly. So contrast matters in these cases. What is the core requirement? The normal text, the visual representation of normal text and images of text must have a contrast ratio of at least 4.5 to 1. It applies to standard body text, for example, which the text font which has 16 pixel. And there are some exceptions exist for large text, incidental text, and logo types, which we will explore in the following slides. First, we will understand why the 4.5 to 1 ratio only that we try to adhere for. The 4.5 ratio for normal text is not arbitrary. It is mathematically derived to account for the typical loss of contrast sensitivity experienced by users with visual acuity equivalent to approximately 20/40 vision. The base standard for text and vision recommends that a 3 to 1 ratio for people with normal vision. So the 4.5 to 1 ratio is achieved by multiplying the standard 3 to 1 ratio by a factor of 1.5, which is based on empirical findings about contrast sensitivity loss for users with moderate vision impairment. So 3 into 1.5 becomes 4.5. Visual impact, 4.5 to 1 versus low contrast. The difference between passing and failing contrast is often subtle but significantly impacts the readability. High contrast ensures text pops against the background and reducing eye strain and making content perceivable. There are few exceptions. First exception is large text. What we call large text? The large text which is 18 point or approximately 24 pixel regular weight, or if the font is 14 point or approximately 18.5 pixel bold, that is called the large text. And such large text has a minimum requirement of 3 to 1 ratio, not 4.5 to 1. Because the large scale text requires a lower contrast ratio because wider character strokes are easier to read. Second exception is for incidental text. It does not have any requirement. For example, text that is part of an inactive user interface component, for example, there is a button which is disabled right now, or a pure decoration or not visible to anyone, does not meet the contrast minimum. So there is no need to test the color contrast of a disabled button text. Like inactive UI, decoration, text used as a background texture, or invisible text hidden via CSS. Exception 3 is logo types. If you have a company logo or any such logo, then there is no color contrast requirement for logos. Text that is part of a logo or brand name has no contrast requirement. This allows organizations to maintain their specific brand identity and color palettes without restrictions in their official logos. How we can measure the color contrast ratio? There are several web-based tools available that let you sample colors from anywhere on your screen using an eyedropper. You can search it online for those web-based tools. Also, if you have a like Chrome or Firefox or any other modern browser, there are built-in developer tools available that can also show you the color contrast ratio when you hover your mouse over any such text on the page. So this slide shows the requirement summary of what we have talked about so far. If you have normal text, that is which is less than 18 point regular or less than 14 point bold, the minimum contrast ratio is 4.5 to 1. If you have a larger text on page which is greater than equal to 18 point regular or greater than equal to 14 point bold, it will have the 3:1 minimum ratio requirement. If you have an incidental text like inactive form controls or decorative text or invisible text, it does not have any color contrast requirement. And if you have any logos or brand logos, then it also does not have any color contrast requirement. Key takeaways: 4.5 to 1 is the standard. Ensure all body text meets this ratio against its background. Larger text has a leeway. Bigger text or larger text which is 18 point or bold, 18 point or 14 point bold or more than that is legible at 3:1. Know the exceptions like logos or disabled buttons, so do not waste your time fixing logos or disabled button text. And verify with the tools. Never rely on your eyes alone. Use a contrast checker to test the text whether it is passing the minimum requirement or not. Hope this video helps understanding the 1.4.3 color contrast minimum requirement success criteria. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video that I post. Thank you for prioritizing accessibility from Accessibility Talk. Thank you.